Welcome to the Hasn't Been 3 Days podcast with your host Justin and BJ. We talk about 3-day-old news, sports, and whatever else we want to talk about. You, the MVP listener, you listen in, you laugh, you cry, you hate on our takes. But if you're going to hate on our takes, just wait and make sure you wait 3 days until you let us know. You can email us at the email box at number 3dayoldpodcast@gmail.com. Some of you have started following us on our socials and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all the things. Thank you for that. And you can message us there as well. But thank you for stepping into those places and connecting with the show. We're glad to have you join us. So we're on for another week. We've had some great shows the last couple of weeks, and thank you if you've joined us. We appreciate your listening in. You've been entertained for sure. But Justin, how have you been these last few days?
I'm doing good. Week 2 of my new job. Just settling in, you know. You never know what you're coming into for a new job sometimes, but this transition's been, I don't know. I don't know why I feel so confident about it. Maybe just because I'm at a place where, you know, you feel respected and there's trust and some loyalty going on there right away versus I mean, you have to still earn it so they can keep it, but yeah, no, the transition of my new job is good and just learning new things, kind of starting to define what kind of roles I'll be doing within the department. So now we go into a holiday week and we'll be good to go. So
Yeah.
What about you? How are things going?
That's good. Yeah. Congratulations. 2 weeks is a good thing. I remember when I was unemployed and I got fired from my last job and didn't really know why. Still don't know why for sure. You kind of wonder, your confidence hits something there for sure. And then I remember when I got the job at the center and I was working there, when I hit my first board meeting, which is about a month in, I was nervous because I thought for sure they're going to let me go, you know, because that's what's happened to me. And my staff was like, no, come on, you're just in your head about this. But it's good that you got confidence and that you're going strong. I'm a month into my new job, and so those places where we're doing things that are familiar yet new, those are good places for us to be able to be humble, but also work our tails off like you and I both do, and be an asset wherever we're at. So good for you, man.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
The thing is, like, the stuff that I went through, like, it was easy. I could just sit back and feel like I still feel like I have to watch over my shoulder, but I don't. That's the thing. It's like just telling myself, no, these people actually want you here.
Yeah.
And it's really sad to have to leave this week would have been my 10 years at Bryan, and just to have to leave and reset, but resetting in a good, healthy way, to be honest with you. So,
we haven't really talked about this, but you're 10 years this week and kind of a reset. You're kind of in the same industry, which is cool too, but new company, and 10 years is a big deal. I was just talking to Heidi today, and I mean, I'm starting a new career path after 12 years of a career of nonprofit church ministry, and that's a long time. I mean, when you're talking a decade of in the same role, that's a long time. So, I'm glad that you found a good landing place, and it's going smoothly so far.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like no one really talks about like toxic. You know, like it's true. Like I've never had to deal with like leaving because of a toxic situation. You know, when I left State Farm and went to Bryan, I didn't leave because things were toxic. It's just a work-life balance. You know, I had to do what was best for our family, and it ended up being God was ready for that for me, even though I might not have been because then we went through everything with Becky during that time, and it was just 10 years of just being able to be away and getting away from work, and the work-life balance helped out. But this time around, just the toxic things I went through for the last 6 weeks, and just just the hate was just horrible. And people that former people that I see at Madonna now, who used to be Bryan, they knew I was over there. They're just like, why are you here? And I'm like, Well, if you only knew, but I don't. I mean, I'll tell them stories and I'll tell them things that are true. Just like, I know I'm gonna have to earn it, but hey, you guys get my talent now. Like, I'm confident. Like, my ego goes through the roof sometimes, but I'm just. If you don't want me around, I'll go find somebody that does, and I think that's what a lot of people get scared of, and they don't just trust and um, like I told you, like this stuff was God had a plan for this in April, and it took going through a toxic situation to be like. And I was just telling this to our pastor yesterday. Is man, he wanted me to go through this toxic situation just to kind of see, yeah, there's something better out there for you,
Mm-hmm.
and just provide those situations. And man, it sucked, but just staying strong through it and being able to help other people now, like it's just helping me have conversations with people who are unfortunately stuck with the crap that I didn't get a chance to hand off. Like I'm not one to just leave a company and not leave them stranded. Like that wasn't my plan, but
Well, and that's kind of what I told you too. It's like, yeah, you spent 10 years, so you invest your life. This is something Heidi and I've talked about too. You spend so much time. Your dad did this with Kawasaki. He spent,
yeah,
what, 20, 25 years with Kawasaki.
25, yeah, yeah,
So you go somewhere and you do all this, and then sometimes at the end of the day, you're going to get, a gift card to Dutch Bros or something for all your service, and you think you're worth more than that, which you are. But the reality of it is, and I've told you this in this situation, and trying to be a little tough love, but also just kind of keeping you grounded too. I mean, we're all replaceable.
yeah,
It doesn't matter how much good intention we have in, like, you wanted to just pass on your information and your knowledge and share and help set them up for success, which is a great and noble thing to do. But the reality of it is we have no control over that. And
hmm,
I mean, I was thinking about this on a much smaller scale. I spent a year at the center. I haven't gotten one phone call and
yeah,
in the month I've been gone. And that's not because I'm not quality enough of a leader. It's just because when there's people around you that are in control and think they got it handled, and they think they don't need you or whatever, they just want you gone, and that's a toxic relationship like you talked about. I don't know if you remember this. I left Nelnet, not to throw them under the bus. I left them because of a toxic relationship. And I mean, I got promoted and was a manager in that middle management in that department, and I started getting accused of not doing the work, which wasn't true. And I got put back down on the lowest level of stuff. And then that's when I ended up at State Farm
State
and,
Farm,
and
yeah,
moved on. But I just was like, man, you just destroyed some. And I think I worked at Nelnet for 2 or 3 years. I can't remember what, but somebody who'd worked their way up in that department and that company, and yet you're just going to go off of somebody's word that is lies. And I mean, we've dealt with that in so many different ways in our
oh
lives
yeah,
now.
100%,
But it's just crazy, and we're going to get into this a little bit later in another topic. But when you have to extend grace, and I think sometimes when you're the victim, and I don't mean you have a victim mentality,
yeah,
but you also have to extend grace to the people that are victimizing you at times, because otherwise you won't ever be able to forgive and move on. And I think you've experienced that through Brian's situation, and a new manager and situation that was out of your control, but at the same time they just didn't want your way of doing things anymore, and that's
yeah.
what
That
it
that
came down
was
to.
that was the hardest part. Yeah, it's just like they didn't even want any of my opinion of nothing, and that value. And you're talking about extending grace and empathy when you don't think you want to for somebody. The mentality is like there's something going on in their lives. Like what is going on in their lives that they're treating me and others like this?
Mm-hmm.
Because this can't be a way that they want to actually manage things. There's no way.
Mm-hmm.
There's something else that's going on in their lives that's dragging them down, and you know, um, because that's not how these personalities were. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
besides the new manager, I didn't know his personality before, but the director, like, I knew what I thought she was about. And that just changed. And so, like, that's what I've been telling people is like, yeah, I might have opinions, but like, more than anything is what's going on in her life that it's dragging her down, that's bringing other people down. And, we're just being in the room at the wrong time, I guess. And not maybe showing the support that she felt like it doesn't matter. Best of luck to them, and I'm on the new things, and there's great people that are still at Bryan. I'm still going to be involved in volunteering at Bryan under Bryan's name and volunteering program. So those are things that I'll still be involved because I still like the company. Like the company. The company didn't do me wrong. But so, anyways,
Yeah,
that's all I got. That's
I mean,
podcast done. 10 minutes. No,
we talk about these places where the past kind of, but then you kind of, if you zoom out and you take yourself out of this scenario and you think about all the players in the game and you wonder why there's so many people in our world today. Doesn't matter the industry, doesn't matter the situation. They have no self-awareness, no awareness of what's going on around them. I talk to my kids all the time about being aware of the people around you. If you're going into a store, you're going into a restaurant, you're going anywhere, be aware of whoever's around you. It's not that you cater to everybody. That's not what I'm saying, but be aware of it. If somebody's struggling or if the room is read the room, and there's so many people that don't do this. They're so self-consumed in their own way of, we were thinking about that today. We went to a new church today and visited, and we saw a lot of people from the church I used to serve at there. And we start talking and we're like, all of these people in the 2 years that since I've been there have left that church, and yet they still don't think there's a problem. There's a systemic problem, but if you're not aware of it, people leave and you don't even care, and you're like, what's the issue? What's the common denominator? As we've said all through this too, it's like there's certain things that are common in every scenario, and yet nobody wants to ask the question or hold the accountability card either. So
yeah, so do you think it's just easy? Do you think in like situations, let's just talk about the church, right? People leave in churches and move around, and we try to figure out what the common denominator is. Do you think it's just easier because they can just go find a different place of worship because they can?
Yeah,
I feel like they can worship. They can do the worship on their own sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it. And I would say this because this is the first time in my life in the last 2 years where I have been able to choose my church finally.
Yeah.
In my entire life until I turned 40 years old, I was never able to choose my church.
Yeah.
And nobody really thinks about that when you're a pastor, when you're in the ministry. I grew up in the ministry with my dad being a pastor. My entire life until I was 40 years old, I never got to choose my church. And now that I can choose my church, I see the whole idea of consumerism. I see why people jump churches. I'm church hopping for the first time in my life, and there's a part of me that hates that because as a pastor, you preach and you teach against comparative situations, and we're not that church. And if that church is doing this, we don't need to do that. They can do it, and you can go there. And I would not chase people that would leave because of certain things like that. And I'm sitting there thinking today as I'm listening to this new pastor preach, and I'm watching the worship service, and I'm looking at the people around, and I'm like, I'm a consumer now.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a church for what I need out of it rather than what they're trying to do and accomplish through what God's called them to do. So from a church standpoint, yes, I agree. Consumerism has taken over the church just like it has in any other thing. And today, in today's day and age, if you're a church that's not marketing yourself to reach that consumer, you're going to miss some. Now, is that the goal? Some would argue yes, some would argue no. I'm not going to get into that argument because I'm out of the game. But church is a consumer industry, just like Walmart, just like any marketing ploy, any business is doing. You're trying to get customers, you're trying to get clients, and you're selling a different product. But is your product measuring up to what people are looking for? Now, with the church, I would argue that their product is the most important, but how you're delivering that product is what they're looking at. And that's the problem with consumerism is we look at what we need out of the product rather than what the product and the need is.
Yeah, and do you think like just because of, obviously technology has made it easier for people to consume church, right? They can attend. You've talked about this, when you're going through your season and away from the church a little bit or just going to different churches, you're able to church hop online, right? Go watch all these services. And you were doing that before too. But do you think, I mean, part of that is to the ease of finding a church, the ease of quote unquote worshiping and not being a part. I know that's big for you, is like the community. The community piece is big for you. Like, you've talked about that, of just finding a community, but also the
Okay.
community also hurt you too. The community also hurt you.
Here we go.
Yeah.
We're at 16 minutes and we're going to jump into counseling session here.
Yeah. No.
Because you're right. Okay. So one of my biggest things is community when it comes to church. And that's what, in this 2 years of being separated from a vocation, from what my identity was, in all honesty, my identity was in what I did, not in who I was. And it was flawed. Well, why was it flawed? It was 90% me. I will admit that. But it was 10% of what I'd been trained and taught within the church.
Yeah.
That there's so much in there. And so I'm going to say it this way. Community is a huge part of our faith. We were not made to just go worship on an island. I full on attest to that. However, when you're a hurting, broken person and you're seeking the thing that can fill that hole, which is Jesus Christ alone, but you're seeking it through community, the church, which some churches are hospitals for the broken, some churches are museums for the saints. But when you're hurting and you're broken and you're seeking a place to be fed, to be welcomed, to be accepted, you don't realize you're looking for a hospital. But you think you're looking for a museum, or you're thinking you're looking for an entertainment value or something to fill you. But really what you're looking for is a hospital. Here's the problem with the church being the hospital. The church is full of broken people who are hurting, who have never gotten the proper help that they need, and yet you're going to go find community with more broken people that could trigger you and set you back over and over and over in the name of Jesus Christ, which is the most evil thing people can do, is to do things in the name of Jesus that is so counter to what Christ is about, that it screws people up for not just a season, it screws them up for a lifetime, because our communities are flawed. And that's the problem with the church today, is that we train people in the church that community belong. But what should we belong to? We should belong to Jesus Christ and Him alone. And then when He heals us, when He transforms us, when He makes us whole, then we're able to be a valuable asset in a community that can help others, not by giving them our perspective, but by saying, hey, I know somebody who can meet your need, and that's Jesus Christ, rather than saying, you know what, I went through a divorce too. You know what, this. Blah, 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 blah. You know what you just did? You just triggered them and you set them back 10 years because they don't have a counselor to go get help. That's what you did. And I've had to be the president of that club to say, you know what? I want community more than anything, because I lost everything that I knew. I lost people. I lost relationships. I lost a vocation. I lost everything I knew. And I've been striving for community. But I've been also warned and counseled and taught that community within the church is going through the same things I'm going. And if I'm not careful, I will be triggered and I will be set back, because I will look for my answer within the community rather than in Jesus Christ. So there you go. I'm done preaching.
No, well, we've talked about this offline so many times, and it almost seems like it's like a rehearse, but it's not. Like, it's not. No, it's 100% not rehearsed. No. This is something that we've been talking about this for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Even at your worst moments.
Yeah, and praise be to God. Let me just say that. Praise be to God that I'm in a better place now than I've ever been in my faith, in my walk, in my journey. Now, do I have community like I want it? No, I don't. But that doesn't mean that I can't still be a valuable part of the community. And that's what I'm learning, is that your identity is not shaped in where you belong.
Yeah.
Your identity is rooted in who you are.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing. That is really hard for people to understand. When you get on an airplane, or when you're walking down the street, or going to some event at work, or whatever the case may be, what's the first question they ask you? What do you do? What do you do? What they mean is, who are you?
Yeah.
And yet you go straight to what you do.
Yep.
That's just natural. When you're sitting on an airplane and it's like somebody says, "Oh, tell me a little bit about yourself." We automatically go to what we do, not who we are. I want to
Yep.
challenge it. And yeah, I want to
It's
challenge
true. It's
anybody who's
100%
listening to
true.
this. Yeah. And even you, Justin, as we are good friends and we've been friends a long time, when you're asked the next time, tell me a little bit about yourself, I want to challenge you not to start with your job.
That's fair.
Don't start with your job. Start with who you are. Now, some people don't want to just jump right out and say, you know what, I'm a child of God, I am saved, I'm forgiven, and I
Yeah, it
know
makes sense.
who I am. But start with something that's not your job.
This is something I did right away, and we talked about this offline a little bit, just because we talk every day. That's my mindset I had to go into with my new job. Is that people didn't know who I was and why I ticked and the way I did things, and why I was passionate about taking care of things. And so my first day, I had a little. It was for the good. I had a little, you can call it a run-in or whatever, a misunderstanding of how I was presenting myself, because I'm a person that asks a lot of why questions. But the person that I was asking didn't know, and then they brought in somebody else, and then it's just like, well, this is the way we do it. But really, come down to is because they didn't know who I was. And it was my first day, and I'm sitting here shadowing people, and I have 10 years of experience in the same work they're doing. And I would say I'm not going to say I'm going to use the word higher level, but I'm coming at it from a technology standpoint where we have a lot of these infrastructures previously that did a lot of the stuff, and a lot of the stuff that they do now is all manual. It's all, I have to like train myself to, I'm retraining myself backwards to do things, which is fine. Like, I'm good with that, but I need to know why I'm doing it backwards. And so, but when I was asking questions, and this is a good challenge to keep up for myself too, BJ, is I had to go back and just be like, this is who I am. This is why I'm a patient. This is why, like, in the last 2 years, the way I handled things, patient advocate, is because, I almost lost my wife in 2023. Like, I had to fight for her. I had to fight to be a patient advocate for her. And then that just changed the way in the last 2 years, like how I took care of things at a high level when I was working for Brian, from the patient standpoint to what I do. And that's one of the reasons that I'm leaving, because I think that's the focus that they weren't worried about anymore. They weren't worried about taking care. And that's where I come from. That's the person who I am. That's why I take care. That's why that week and the week and a half that I sat with people in my new job, I sat with 19, or I think we have 19 people in our department. I think that's the number. I've literally sat with everybody for at least an hour, and watched them work and just took notes. But that was the first thing I learned that first day was, well, here's who I am. This is who I am, not where I came from. They knew I came from Brian, but here's me. Here's my, here's my kids, and this is what I do for, the extra things. But then I followed up with the work stuff. So, it's a good mindset. Yes, it's a challenge. Like BJ said, go into it. See if when somebody asks you something, talk about something besides your work first. What makes you tick? What drives you?
The why question is really what drives it. It's our purpose. It's our reason. It's why we sat this morning having, my wife and I have coffee every morning together, and sometimes it's deeper than others. And this morning was one of those times where we're sitting there. Maybe it was yesterday morning, I can't remember. We're just talking about our existence here on Earth, and getting into some of these things that we won't have the answer to.
Yeah.
The deeper things in life we won't understand. And that's what we came to the conclusion is, what, we're really not going to know the answer to this, but we continue to ask the why question. Why? Why is it this way? Why do we have to be this way? Why do we have to go through it this way? Why does this have to happen? And many of those why questions, when it comes to the deeper things in life, we won't ever get an answer to. And it's because a lot of people don't want to answer the why question. Let's be honest. Because answering the why question means that you have a purpose, you have a plan, and you have a reason. Answering the why question comes down to accountability. Mm-hmm. And the reality in our world today is people don't want to be held accountable. We want to have community. Here to bring this full circle, Nate Rabel.
Yeah.
is is we want to have accountability. We want to have purpose and meaning and success and all these things. But when somebody calls us out for our own crap, we don't want to answer to that. Why? Because we don't want accountability. We want responsibility without accountability, and we think that that's a success. But really, when somebody's able to hold you accountable, and there's been times in your season where I've said some things to you where it's like you didn't want to hear it, and you're going through it, and you're like, "Man, that's not what I meant." And I'm like, "I know, but that's how it's coming across, you know." But
Yeah.
we've been friends for 30 years, so we can say those things to each
Oh
other,
yeah.
and we can help each other see. Like, and I've told you many times through this, Justin, check your pride, watch out. And it's not a matter of me saying you're not good enough or I don't believe in you or you don't have what it takes. It's me saying you do have what it takes, but that doesn't mean need to drive this.
Yeah.
And I have to tell myself that in this season of a career change where I'm totally doing brand new things. It's like where my confidence has been shot. And I know I'm capable, I know I'm able, but I can't get too prideful about it. And we're both in a season where we're taking on new jobs, where we're coming into a place where we have, like, I'm in a new career, but there's a sense of expertise on how to run things
Yeah.
that I'm not allowed to speak into, or I'm choosing not to because I'm not in that number one or number two seat anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You're coming into a new place, like you said, where you're walking back in time, and far as tech is
Yeah.
concerned,
Yeah.
from a process standpoint, and yet there's coming a time when you and I both are going to be at a place where we'll be able to speak into those places in more efficient and effective ways, as that's
Oh
become
yeah.
my purpose and tagline, if you will. So, yeah, no, it's patience. It's all these things that we learn when we're kids in Sunday school, and yet as we are in our 40s now, they're still true. It's all of those things still happening and still progressing in our own life for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. It's just it's we'll be called on again, and that's what
That's a good
you've
way to put
mentioned.
it. That's a
Yeah.
great way to put it. We'll be
We'll be
called on again.
we will.
Yep.
Yeah, and we just have to understand our position now. We're not sitting in pole position anymore, right? And I never was really, not like you. I was never in a pole position, but we'll be called on again. And you've even said that, like some of the things that we've talked about, just like, well, is that happening because of X, Y, and Z going to happen next? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not along for the ride because I want to make change and be a part of it. But I now know all the situations that I've dealt with, how I can position myself to set myself up, and then just having appropriate leaders in the right spot, right now on the perception of things. And I wouldn't have gone this route just to take a job. I mean, it was purposeful on why I needed to be at a place like Madonna, a very
Yeah.
spiritual, faith-based company, and on a smaller level of type of hospital than what Brian is being the mega system,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine because it taught me a lot of stuff that I can now use to help take Madonna forward, and I really feel that purpose and how that's going to play out. Now I have to quote unquote get in line, right? You just have to wait your turn, not wait your turn, but just be ready, learn your job, be a resource, and then apply it. Like that's just a mindset. But there's a lot of cool things going on, so I'm really excited. There's a lot of old faces that are at Madonna now for myself, and so that's kind of fun. I just kind of I felt like they're an extension of working with Brian, and I just walked into a whole different type of, another entity of things, and it just felt really comfortable. So I don't know. Maybe next week I'll say something different. I don't know. No, I won't. No. I'll joke
Well,
aside.
I'll
But
be interested to see the numbers as to who's listening still on this podcast with 30 minutes into this conversation. But
it does. I mean, the people that listen to us, they don't have to be in our corners. And there are people who I know. There's some ex coworkers of mine at Brian. Some of them that I may or may not be, quote unquote, the closest to, that they're that they supposedly listen to our podcast, and that's fine. They probably. It doesn't matter. I don't have anything to hide. I'm not
No,
here to
no,
hide
I'm not
anything.
saying
And
that. I'm
yeah.
just,
No, but
yeah,
I'm just saying it's interesting on that perspective now that you can't control. Like, I mean, technically, I could never control my own perspective of how people treated me, and I just got to deal
no.
with the situation that I had. So, just same
It,
thing with you, right? Like,
it's hard to get to this place, but this is true. And it's taken me 2 years, and I'm still not completely there. But what other people say and think about you is none of your business.
yeah,
And that's hard to accept until you get to the place where you just don't care. You're still going to be yourself. You're still going to go be who you are rather than what you do. And when you do that, it shines through. Who you are shines through and trumps what you do 100% of the time.
Yeah, that's why I haven't changed all these years, BJ.
That's good.
No,
That's good.
I probably have. Actually, I've grown up. So,
well, speaking of that, let's transition to some lighter fare before we jump back into some other hard stuff. A lot of things, I don't get to watch much sports, live sports anymore. We went out to dinner last night, and I walked into the restaurant, and they were playing a baseball game at the bar. I wasn't eating at the bar, not that it matters, but I looked over, and it was the Royals versus the Dodgers.
Yeah,
I'm a Royals fan. I've enjoyed the Royals since Alex Gordon's been there. I haven't been able to follow them, but obviously the Dodgers make headlines because the Dodgers are the Dodgers. Well, there's been some stuff about Shohei Ohtani, and he started pitching again, and he's come off surgery. A lot of pitchers have Tommy John surgery, and they come back, and they're better than ever. Shohei Ohtani is the first two-way player that's really been successful to pitch and to play every day since Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
I heard somebody, my podcast role model, as well as others, talking about Shohei Ohtani being the best player in the history of the game of baseball. And I know you're not a big baseball fan, but I wanted to just pose that question to you. Do you believe that Shohei Ohtani and what he's doing, he's better than Babe Ruth? He is the best player to ever play baseball.
I mean, you know what? I think it's going to be longevity when it comes to him. If he only does it for so many years, does that trump something else? Maybe like Babe Ruth, played 20 some years. Willie Mays played 20 some years. So if Shohei only plays whatever number, does that change the perspective?
Okay. I hear you, because that's the argument of anything, right? Longevity matters. If you can't play longer than 10 years, you're not getting in the Hall of Fame. But here's the other flip side to that coin, that the same person, I'm not saying you, but the professionals will say longevity, longevity, longevity. But then when somebody plays 20 years, they're like, oh, they're not the same person. This is the Russell Westbrook thing now, okay?
Yeah, 100%.
Russell Westbrook has played a huge career. He's the only player to ever average 2 seasons with a triple-double. And I would argue in the NBA that these great players could, if they wanted to average a triple-double, they could do it every single night because they're that good. You're not going to score 30 points and win the scoring title doing it, but you could do it. I mean, every single one of these guys could do it if they wanted to. Yeah. But Russell Westbrook now has played so long that people are like, oh, he's washed up. He's never been that good. I'm like, he's the GOAT of triple doubles, and you're going to sit here and tell me he's not good. Why? Because he's played too long.
Too long. Yeah. I mean, I can't see that.
So
what is the perfect lifespan of a sports athlete? Yeah.
I think we should eliminate that. When it comes to the GOAT conversation, we eliminate that. Because longevity shouldn't matter if you are the greatest in your segment of time.
Okay.
So let's be honest. Jordan could have played 20 years. He could have been LeBron, but he wasn't because of the status of the game.
He retired as a wizard. That just tells you everything.
Exactly. So, but he retired the first time to go play baseball. But really what that was is because his ownership wouldn't let him, wouldn't sign him or for what he was worth and all the players around him. So
could have been a gambling issue. Who knows?
But he could have went
somewhere else.
Is what I'm saying. It's not the same.
Yeah.
So I would say one of the greatest athletes to ever play baseball, athletes, hitters, outfielders, position player, whatever, was Bo Jackson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I agree.
But he didn't do it
Oh,
for very long.
nope.
But nobody's going to argue the fact that his athleticism, there was nobody close. Bo Jackson was a beast.
He was.
You know what I'm saying? So
Oh,
here,
100%, dude.
I would make the same argument as you, but for the sake of a podcast and this, I'm arguing that longevity when it comes to the GOAT conversation should not be one of the top 5 categories.
I mean, I can respect that.
I get it to the extent of if you can do it over a long period of time, you show that you really are as valuable as you say you are. But that's valuable, not the greatest of all time. To me, the greatest hitter.
Oh, go ahead.
The greatest hitter of all time, because of what he did later in his career, in my opinion, when it comes to hits, walks, home runs, everything else, Barry Bonds.
Yep, I'm mouthing it right now. Yeah, Barry Bonds. Yeah,
and I'm not a Barry Bonds guy.
I don't disagree. I mean, yeah, it's
he
crazy.
Just got a statue, by the way. If we're gonna
go, he did. He got a statue.
Stuff, but
does it look like him though? Some of these statues are really bad.
It's got a head that's like both sides of a boulder. No, I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Well, like when you talk about Bo Jackson, like besides having 1 year off, like how many years do you think, off the top of your head, do you think Bo Jackson played?
Baseball or football?
Baseball. Because he could have been a great baseball player.
I would say he played probably 7 years.
Yeah, 8 years.
8 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And football, how many years in football?
Football, he was. Hang on a second. I got this pulled up here. Or I thought I did.
I'm guessing probably 6 years in football.
I mean, Raiders, 87 to 90.
3 years.
Yeah.
Because of injuries, but in football as well. I mean, people talk about the two sport athletes. You got Bo Jackson, you got Deion Sanders, you got Reggie Sanders. Is that his name?
Reggie Jackson?
No. He was modern day with Deion, but he did it with the Reds and kind of the same thing as Deion did.
Two sport player. What was his name? Was it Reggie?
I thought it was Reggie something. I could be wrong.
I don't know. Well, I'll see if I can find out for you while we're talking.
But
yeah,
these people that did it for and that takes you to reach the top level of sports in 2 different sports. That's pretty amazing. There's no doubt about that. Let me see. Here's
even better. Like Deion, did it in 1 day too. That's even great.
He did it in 1 day. That was cool. Bo Jackson, Jim Thorpe. I didn't know that. Jim Thorpe played baseball and football at the same time. Bob Hayes, Jameis Winston did it. Russell Wilson did it. Kyler Murray. These aren't the guys I'm thinking of. There was a guy, he played for the Reds. I think it was Reggie Sanders, but I could be wrong. If anybody cares, they can look it up. But he also played defensive back for in the NFL. That's why I say all that.
What's his name?
Do you know who I'm talking about, though?
I know. I'm trying to remember his name. Darren Erstad wasn't a 2-sport athlete. Just throw it out there.
There you go. See, but so to go back to this debate, somebody said that's a professional in this industry of sports said that to do what Shohei Ohtani's done and to do it at the level against the competition, because Babe Ruth's competition was, nobody can argue that his competition was way less than what it is today.
Oh yeah.
But to do it to the level that Shohei is doing it, I tend to agree, and I'm a baseball guy. Shohei Ohtani's got to be the greatest baseball player we've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can disagree with you. So at the highest level, because we're talking.
It's harder to just. We're going to go into this discussion a little bit further in other sports.
Hang on. Do you think it's better because? Well, okay. Does he trump somebody over a 2-sport athlete or a 2-position athlete?
See, I think it's a different thing.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
where I was going to go. I think
Yeah.
it's
Sorry.
hard
Go
for
ahead.
us to say the greatest athlete of all time. I
Yeah.
don't think we can say that about him,
No.
but I think he's the greatest baseball player of all time. I think it's hard to even say two sport athletes because of what position they might play. To be
Yeah.
like Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders to get to the highest level in those sports, but they were not the Bo Jackson, arguably, they were not the best players at their position in both sports at the same time.
I don't know. Bo Jackson ran up a wall.
Bo Jackson would be close, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying he was a Pro Bowler and a All Star in baseball at the same time. I don't think Deion did that. I don't think Deion was ever a MLB All Star.
All Star. Yeah.
So that's where I'm going with that. So like
Yeah.
that's the same thing in the NFL. Who's the greatest NFL player? It's hard to do that because every position is so different. People would argue Jerry Rice, but they argue Jerry Rice because of how athletic he was. But Jerry Rice isn't going up against Lawrence Taylor.
No.
As far as what their ability on the field to do in their position, Jerry Rice isn't playing middle linebacker, but Lawrence Taylor isn't catching passes and going across the middle either. So it's apples to oranges in these other sports, but it leads to the debate. So I bring this up because I wrote it down. Who is the greatest? If we were to put a Mount Rushmore of the main sports, the best player of each sport. So we got baseball, we got football, we got basketball, we got hockey. Who are you putting up there?
Well, hockey. Let's just get hockey out of the way.
Who are you
We're
going to
going
say?
Wayne Gretzky.
Okay.
Yeah,
Same
I think
page.
we
We got to go Wayne Gretzky, even though Ovechkin just broke his record. But
true, but the amount, like he broke it for score record, right?
for goals scored.
But points,
Yes,
it's crazy how far he's behind.
Yeah.
So I would go Wayne Gretzky. Somebody
Wayne
would say Gordie Howe, but I mean for us, like our era, I would say Wayne Gretzky.
Okay.
We could probably knock out golf real quick.
Okay, golf wasn't in there, but we can put.
I
don't think we're going to agree on this one.
I don't think we are going to either. I think some would say it should be Tiger.
Okay.
But Jack Nicholson would probably be up there.
Jack Nicklaus, yeah.
Yeah.
Nicholson
is the actor. Yeah. Nicholas, sorry. I watched The Departed the other day. Sorry. But yeah, I think Jack would be there.
I'm going to agree with you on that. That's surprising. I thought you would say Tiger. I mean,
I think Tiger and Jack, for like the eras, for what they did for the eras, and that's where I think I come from.
That's where we get. That's where we're going to always get off track. I mean,
correct, 100%.
The eras, but Jack Nicklaus has more first and second place finishes in majors than anybody will ever come close to, and it's not even close.
Yeah. So let's see, golf. Let's see here, basketball. I mean. I'm going Jordan, so you could argue with me if you want to.
I'm not going to. Jordan.
Jordan. The amount of people that fear Jordan and like all these interviews later on, it's like, yeah, we probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. So I mean, he's definitely the GOAT. I had this conversation with my boys the other day about who changed the game in their sport. Now Jordan changed the game. So did Bill Russell changed the game. Larry Bird changed the game.
Larry Jordan, Magic and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, like all those guys are a part of changing the game.
Yeah, but Michael Jordan changed the game for generations.
Oh, still to this day, people are still talking about Jordan.
Those other guys before him changed the game for their era, but they didn't change it for beyond. Jordan changed it beyond. Now Steph Curry has changed the game forever. Those kind of things. Shaq changed the game forever. Those are guys that changed it. But yeah, I'm with you on the Mount Rushmore. It's Michael Jordan for the NBA.
Yeah.
For sure.
So let's see here, and then we get into baseball. Greatest ever, consider the greatest. I mean, I don't know. We've talked about Shohei, and he has the opportunity to keep it up, right? Like, if we talk about longevity, right?
I know. Your longevity.
I know. I mean, Willie Mays is right up there. I don't know. I mean,
here's the other thing. Okay,
I mean, you can.
Here, I'm going to make my case because Shohei's the guy.
Shohei's the guy. Okay.
But I'm not even I'm not going to go out of my way to go watch a game with him.
Yeah.
But he's the greatest, and here's why. Not only is he the best pitcher, Now people will say, well, he's not won a Cy Young. Well, it's because he'll dominate wherever he's at. He's not going to win
Mm-hmm.
a Cy Young because they want to make sure he can do both.
Yeah,
He's
100%.
he's
Yeah.
he's going to do both so he
Restrict
can win a
his.
championship, not win a Cy Young.
Yeah.
So he's the greatest pitcher right now. He's just incredible. He's the greatest hitter and position player when he's in the field. This is the above replacement stat that they talk about.
Yeah.
He's beyond. But then what did he do last year? Oh, somebody tell me. Who's the only player to do 50-50 in one season? 50 stolen bases, 50 home runs. Oh, yeah, wait, it's Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
50-50. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of things that he's already won, from titles to MVPs, MLB first team, whatever list you want to start getting into.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with it.
Yeah.
But can you make that?
You want to break this down into position, and you want to break it down.
No. Actually, I was gonna break it down as like, can you give somebody the GOAT title before they're even done? Not longevity. Not longevity, but like, if can you say he's the GOAT right now, even though his career's not over?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's some that you can't. Now, some people used to say this, like when Barry Sanders was running and Terrell Davis was running and all these guys that were incredible running backs in their time, but they would say the same thing about, like a guy, Jim Brown obviously comes to mind when it comes to that as well. But the guy for the Rams that was
Eric Dickerson?
Eric Dickerson, when he was the first 2,000-yard rusher or whatever.
Yeah.
So these kind of guys, but like I remember, because this is my era, but like Barry Sanders and Terrell Davis. And Terrell Davis was like, he's never going to be a Hall of Famer because he didn't do it long enough. Okay, Hall of Fame's one thing, but at the time in his snapshot of career, there was no running back better than Terrell Davis.
No.
Now, there was no running back better in his time than Marshall Faulk. So I think when you then maybe then somebody's going to say to me, well, then you're talking about the greatest seasons ever. Maybe so. But I would say that you could, when you have somebody like Jordan, nobody's saying in Jordan's 5th or 6th championship that he wasn't the greatest of all time, even though his career wasn't over.
Mm-mm.
So I think we can say that about Shohei.
Yeah, okay. I'm not going to disagree. The only thing I would disagree with you on is he's a Dodger, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
whatever. One of my good friends is a Dodger fan, so we have to hear about it all the time.
Yeah. And that's just it. I mean, you watch the Dodgers with Shohei, you got Freddie Freeman, you got Mookie Betts, you got all. Yeah. I mean, it's a stacked team for sure. So,
I heard a fun story about. I like Freddie Freeman. I like his poise and just. I mean, he used to be a Brave too back in the days. So, he's just a fun guy. I saw an interview. This is a sidebar. Have you heard his interview on why he wears long sleeves no matter the time of the year?
I just saw that today.
Yeah,
actually.
Isn't that crazy? Like, and for people who don't know, he does it because his mom had skin cancer, and so it's like it's his way of promoting, taking care, being cautious and awareness. And I just thought that was I've never heard that story until recently. I thought that was a cool little sidebar about that. So but let's see here. So we got baseball. I think we're agreeing on Shohei just for the sake of this conversation. No, joking. For the sake of our friendship and the longevity of it.
Well, in 2 minutes or less, though, who do you put up there on the NFL as your GOAT?
Ooh, man, it's hard not to go. Man, this is hard. Because the top guy, most of the guys are going to be NFL guys or like offensive guys. So quarterback, running back, and wide receivers. I don't know. Jerry Rice is like the one that just comes to mind. But the things that like, as much as we may or may not like him, but the things that like Tom Brady number wise he did is crazy. And then I would always say like somebody like Barry Sanders as a running back is right up there.
You almost have
But
to go position by position,
yeah,
and that's
in
tough.
football you do because I don't think you can stack up you can't stack up an offensive lineman and say it's the same as a running back or a wide receiver, and
Mm-mm.
quarterbacks are always up higher than anybody else. So it's just where do you draw the line?
Let's draw the line as the NFL doesn't go on the Mount Rushmore. Let's put golf there instead.
Yeah, there we go. It's like, just put golf there and be done. Um, yeah. So what about you?
Yeah, I don't know the name that kept coming to my mind just because of all around greatness that would have been great no matter the era he played in. He could have played multiple positions, but he chose running back. And I mentioned him before. I mean, Jim Brown. I mean,
Yeah,
there.
Jim Brown is on that list as well, and it's just not an era person for me.
Yeah,
But which is fine, but um, I cannot disagree with that at all.
yeah. I mean, I have to my homer pick obviously is John Elway, but um, Jim Brown did he changed the game.
Yeah.
Absolutely changed the game. So
Yeah, so we should talk about all the other sports like horse racing, swimming, track and
yeah,
field.
my son who doesn't listen would want us to talk about F1 racing, but we don't need to do that either.
Oh,
So
I don't even know. Michael Schumacher, maybe? I don't know. That might be the only person. Shout out to Michael Schumacher.
there
You
you
want to
go.
come on? uh, but no, yeah. I mean, I think we're on the same page. I mean,
Yeah,
Olympic
yeah.
athlete. Let's just do Olympics because Olympics are
Oh,
ones. Who's your top Olympic Games athlete? Like the goat of all Olympics, male or female?
I mean, this is an era thing too, but I've got to go Michael Phelps.
Yeah. If you had to
Uh,
split gender wise, Katie Ledecky and Michael Phelps would be, one and
but
two.
I wouldn't even do that. I mean, if I'm going 1A and 1B or something like that, I've got to go Carl Lewis.
Carl Lewis or Usain Bolt? Like, why not?
I
Like,
mean, not Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt only sprinted. I mean,
yeah.
that's
Overall,
that's where
Carl
I
Lewis.
think about like Michael Phelps and Carl Lewis, Katie Ledecky. I mean, the
Yeah,
swimmers, they were both swimming sprints and long distance too.
true.
And Carl Lewis was a decathlete as well as a sprinter and all these things that he did well. So um, that's where I would go. That would be it would be between Carl Lewis and Michael Phelps for me.
Okay. Yeah, I said
Yeah.
one more. I said that was it. I got two more. Ready?
Okay.
What about your favorite boxer?
My
Goat of all
favorite or
time.
the greatest of
Boxer.
all time?
Great. The GOAT boxer. Who do you got?
Well, I think just from a standpoint of greatness, you gotta throw Muhammad Ali in there.
Yeah.
I think but what he did and the ease of which he did it was amazing to
Mm,
do it at the heavyweight level. I think
yeah.
obviously favorite you go Mike Tyson in that just the entertainment value.
Yeah.
But Oscar De La Hoya,
Okay.
and but then you also go, who's the guy that was he undefeated in his career, like 50-0? The guy that just he's old. He boxed till he was like 50 years old. Can't think of his name. He was in jail
Sugar
for a
Ray?
time. Was it
Oh, not
Sugar
Sugar
Ray?
Ray. I don't know if he was in jail. I don't know enough boxing to be dangerous, but
Yeah.
he was. I don't remember if he was. I don't think he was in jail. I don't know. Mike Tyson is in jail. Sure, it's not him. He ate people's ears too.
he was for
Vander-
sure. Floyd Mayweather. Floyd
Oh, Floyd
Mayweather.
Mayweather. I didn't.
Yeah.
He was in jail. Maybe you misspoke on that. I don't know.
I might have misspoke on that, but
Shout out to Floyd.
he was undefeated, 50-0. Number
Okay.
2 greatest record was Manny Pacquiao.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they fought each other. So there you go. And then you got Muhammad Ali as number 3. So those 3 are up there for sure.
All right.
Obviously. What's your other one?
I don't think I really had one. I
I
was gonna
think
say, for an obscure. I was just gonna say skateboarding just for fun because
well,
X Games are on TV. So
that's Tony Hawk
Tony Hawk,
by a
100%.
landslide.
Yeah, you
So
got video games. I saw a video about him about doing the video EA Sports, or he did a video game, and he still does. Well, no, they don't do them anymore. But he talked about his first check that he got. Tony Hawk did. He did this interview, and he talked about this first check that he got. And he's like, they handed over this check, and he looked at it. And he's like, "What? Are you gonna pay me for a video game just to ride my skateboard around?" Yeah, and the fact that he just his popularity, that is like the popularity of. I was never a huge skateboarder. I didn't know how to do it well, but I enjoyed watching it and playing the video games. That is one person. Yeah, it's just interesting how he transcended like culture, and that was
yeah,
crazy. So
he did for sure.
and he's like, and it's just like the funny stories he still talks about today. So, but anyways, greatest of all times. Just let us know, people, if you got anybody, or you think we make bad selections. Sorry, but
Well, yeah, it's our podcast. We can say what we want to.
I mean, you can disagree with us. We don't care.
Yeah, yep, for sure.
We like I mean, sometimes we miss things, so that's all you have to just let us know. Pretty sure Nate will tell us something.
Yeah.
If I don't
He
hear
probably
from
will.
Nate,
He'll probably throw some Kansas City chef in there.
he'll probably say Sammy Sosa. Sammy Sosa.
He did. Speaking of Sammy Sosa, he did go back to Wrigley for the first time in 20 plus years.
I saw that news. I saw that.
That's good. Good for him. No matter what you think about him, I mean, he was part of reviving the game of baseball again, and to that, whether you love him or you hate him, whether you like the Cubs or you don't, I mean, Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire, that run that revitalized the game of baseball for sure.
Yeah, no, there's that summer was crazy. That's for sure. That brought everybody on board, and just the eyes to the TV, and it's crazy. So
yeah.
Well, I mean, next time we do these great of all times, we'll have to talk about like cricket or tennis. We'll have to do some research. Probably have to do, what's that new game? Oh my gosh, I was with my brother a couple weeks ago. There's gonna have to be like a greatest of all time person that plays Quidditch. I mean, I saw that on ESPN The Ocho when I was with my brother. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that was a real thing.
Well, and also we saw this as we went to eat a couple weeks ago. There was a professional. So now there was cornhole, professional cornhole.
Oh yeah.
There's professional pickleball, and then we saw this on a sports station. It's not just a movie.
I hope you say the same thing I'm thinking of right now.
There was dodgeball.
Oh,
and then nope, hold on. Then right after that got over, the championship game of the dodgeball was professional adult kickball.
Oh, interesting. Was that on ESPN or was that on Fox? Fox has been running a lot of those weird things.
I don't know, but it was ridiculous. I'm like, why are we showing kickball on TV?
I saw one time, because ESPN does those like Ocho, weeks where they show the obscured things. I don't know if you ever catch those, but which became popular because of the movie Dodgeball. There's like professional, like, it was like people, I don't think it was professional. It was just like two people in a car and they're like fighting each other and they had to stay in the car. It was the dumbest thing ever.
Is that what you thought I was going to say?
I thought maybe you might go that route.
Well, it's like now we have the slap fighting.
Those people are crazy.
Yeah.
The amount of brain cells that is going out through your ears.
Yeah, I don't get it, and I saw one today. So this is okay. I'm going to admit something. One of those things, like if I get caught in my reels of seeing a good street fight.
Oh yeah.
Or playground fight.
Yeah.
I'm watching it. I'm watching it. I'm locked in, and this slap fighting is one of those things where it's like, you are an idiot. You deserve to get knocked out.
Some of the best reels are about, and they're kind of bad too, is like they'll slap somebody and they'll completely turn into a different person. Like their facial expression change.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, you just slapped the crap out of them. Like literally. But yeah, no, I'm with you. Like a good street fighter, like I'm, yeah.
Yep.
I don't send you all those, but I do go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one that I can get lost in for sure. But that's because I grew up in a middle school where there was a fight on the playground every day. Like legit fist fight, sometimes gang fight. It was crazy. But
well, and those are the things that you're like, yeah, I don't see myself participating in one of those anytime soon. So let's just watch other people do it.
Right, exactly. Well, we're getting close to the end of the show today, and I wanted to do something that we did in the past, and it's almost time to start this season again. So I'm going to go with a little game prediction to end the podcast. And I'm dropping this on you, and you probably already know where I'm going.
Nah, maybe.
The first NFL football game is coming up on July 31st, so in 1 month. And it is between the Los Angeles Chargers at the Detroit Lions in the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio.
Oh, preseason? So, you're going to talk about preseason games right now?
Well, not even preseason. This game doesn't count for anything because it's a Hall of Fame game.
The refs. I'm going with the refs.
You're going with the refs. Well, that's probably true because the line right now, a month out, the odds.
A line for a game that doesn't matter. What is this world coming to?
Is very fitting for this conversation. The odds by ESPN Bet are even. It's a straight even game. Los Angeles Chargers at Detroit Lions.
That's because it's a neutral site game, so you can't get even 3 points the other way.
Over under is 32.5 points.
Oh gosh, I'm going under.
Going under. Okay.
Yeah, there's going to be like 16 points combined.
I would go under on that as well. But I just thought I would surprise you with that. And,
oh my gosh!
Throw that out a month ahead of time.
That's a month out.
July 31st.
I mean, I guess that would be right because it's usually right at that last week of July.
Yep.
It's crazy. I thought you were going to throw a Cowboys thing at me.
Well,
I was going to tell you, Cowboys are going to win it all. Got it.
I did see a meme that when the bombings of Iran were
going. My gosh. Oh, yeah. Did I send this to you? I sent it to my buddies in my group text. Oh, my gosh. Finish the story. This is great.
Well, and it was a picture of the Dallas Stadium, and it's...
Yeah, they're like, tell Iran this is the White House.
This is the White House, yeah. I thought that was so good. So.
Oh, yeah. That's... something else.
Well,
oh my gosh.
As usual, when we don't have a guest on, we put together some notes and then we don't get to it all. But we're still chasing a couple different things, and we also have not even touched on a lot of the church and faith discussion that we want to get into. So we got a lot still to come. And but we've hit our time today, and so I just want to say thank you for joining us. Thank you, Justin, for all you do to put this together.
Yeah, no problem.
Just for being who you are. I don't care about what you do. I'm glad that you are who you are. So
hey, I don't care what you do, except for getting and taking and returning my calls, or my text message, or my emails.
Okay.
Or answering the podcast Zooms. I don't know. I appreciate you. I don't think I tell you that enough. It's easy. It's not easy hanging out with me, man. I get it. I can be a lot.
Well, at least now we're 3,000 miles apart. So
yeah, you just keep on moving further away. The only thing that's holding you back right now is the Pacific Ocean. You can't get any further away. So I guess we're going to Hawaii together. That's where we're going. That's where we're ending up.
There we go. There we go.
Which wouldn't be such a bad thing.
Yeah, I've never been. So,
dude, you need to go. I know. In due time.
We promised our kids we would take them as a family vacation, so we'll get that done one of these days. So,
good deal.
Anyway, well, it's been 3 days. We're looking forward to the next 3 days, and just want to say thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us on this fun journey. And next week we'll be back with you for another episode as we reminisce on the 4th of July and see how many mailbox Justin's family has blown up. this year. So.
You know what? My sister has a new house. That means a new mailbox.
New mailbox. Here we go.
So there's potential.
We're expecting updates
Nothing.
on the next podcast of what happens on July 4th. So
yeah, it never stops. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us and listening in. As always, keep looking up. Keeping your eyes fixed on him. He's the author and finisher of our faith. Thank you for joining us. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next time.
See ya.